how about a little good news for a change? Here's the good news. The good news is that the Women's March, which we reported on last week, has been well received by the American people. I'm looking at a new poll. It is a Washington Post poll, and it says that support for the women's marches, and remember, this is a brand new thing, this only happened a few days ago, already exceeds the support the Tea Party had at a similar moment in history in early 2010. To be specific, this says dramatically exceeds the support for the Tea Party, as a matter of fact. According to those polled, 60% of Americans support the Women's March. 33% of Americans strongly support it, and only 29 are opposed. Just under 10% didn't have feelings either way. Now compare that to the Tea Party. When the Tea Party first arose, that only had 27% of support among the American people, only had 17% strong support, half, in other words, less than half the support of the Women's March for both general support and strong support, and had opposition of 24% of the public. So the Women's March, the anti-Trump movement, has already come out of the gate more than twice as strong as the Tea Party movement that took over the Republican Party and has now taken over all three branches of the federal government, as well as many state governments as well. That is good news if Democrats and the independent left know how to leverage this moment. And it will take both a Democratic Party and an independent left that is willing to push that Democratic Party to taking positions that the people support. There is a strong grassroots movement for fundamental change in this country, and these figures show it. Now, I'd like to also compare these figures to the figures of support for Donald Trump, who, after a week in office or 10 days in office, had the support of only 46% of the American people. So let's get this straight. Donald Trump, as president of the United States, during the so-called honeymoon period for a new president, has the support of 46% of voters. The Women's March, which saw 4 million Americans take to the streets in opposition to Donald Trump, has 60% support. So Donald Trump's support lags behind those of his opposition by 14 points. Sad. And, it's not all good news. We've seen that in other polling from Reuters Ipsos that there is a lot of support for Trump's Muslim ban. So we know, and it's about 49% support. So we do know that Trump has been able to frighten a lot of people into abandoning their constitutional principles. But let me reiterate, the Women's March, the first and most major sign of opposition to Donald Trump, is far more popular than the Tea Party that has misdirected this country, and certainly much more popular than Trump himself.